you will just leave your computer on, mute, and then take a break, and then you'll return at 10:30. We'd like you to be sure that your participant name matches your registration names for attendance purposes. So if it doesn't, in order to change your name on the screen, you hover over to the right of your picture. In the corner, you see 3 dots. And if you hover over that dot and click on it, you'll notice that you can change there'll be a rename option, and you can rename your name using that process. If you have any questions about that, just throw it in the chat, and Kristin or I will help you out with that. All participant PowerPoints and materials can be found here at the bit.ly link. So everything that you need to know, including today's or the weekly schedule, is contained within this folder or through the bit.ly link. And again, just during breaks, turn your camera off and mute yourself, but stay logged on during the Zoom meeting. So we hope that you'll participate and engage. We'd love you to use the chat feature as much as you need to, make comments, ask questions. There is the raise your hand feature, and we'll be looking for that in case you have a question. Complete activities provided by the facilitators, please, and be an active member in your breakout rooms. We will do different presenters will have breakout rooms and different activities for you to do. So of course, we look for your 100% engagement in that. And just as a reminder, in order to receive your stipend, you must attend every session each day. We will be taking attendance for each of those sessions. So are there any questions before I turn it over to Kristin in terms of logistics?
I have one quick question, if I may.
Sure.
Are there research points also, or just a stipend?
So we will have a certificate for you. Is that correct, Kristin? We'll have a certificate.
We will provide you a certificate of attendance that indicates that you attended with the number of hours, and then you would take that to your local division. Local divisions are who actually awards recertification points. So we're not actually awarding certification points, but we will give you that certificate of participation to share with your local division and ask them if you can get some points from it.
Thanks so much.
That's a great question. Thank you. Kristin, do you want to, I'll tell you what, after you do your part, if you want to back up to the schedule, and I'll just kind of introduce today's portion, but you can go ahead and get started.
All right, thank you so much.
Make better sense. Okay.
Okay, so we just wanted to take a few minutes to kind of talk about what inclusive practices really means in terms of our regulations in Virginia. So there's nothing really that specifically addresses inclusion in the regulations. However, it really is addressed indirectly in the whole idea of least restrictive environment. And I'm sure that you're all very familiar of what least restrictive environment means. But according to the definition, it means that to the maximum extent appropriate, children with disabilities, including children in public or private institutions or other care facilities, are educated with children who are not disabled, and that special classes, separate schooling, or other removal of children with disabilities from the regular educational environment occurs only when the nature or severity of the disability is such that education in regular classes with the use of supplementary aids and services cannot be achieved satisfactorily. So it's always our goal in terms of educating our students with disabilities that we provide that education in the least restrictive environment possible where they can be successful. So obviously, co-teaching is a very, very supportive environment of least restrictive environment. And when we're looking at what co-teaching is actually defined as in our regulations, it's a service delivery option where 2 or more professionals are sharing responsibility for a group of students. For some of those students, or for some time during the day, or the whole school day. So this service delivery model is designed to provide access to the general curriculum and access to age peers in the general ed classroom, while making sure that we're still providing those special education services to our students with IEPs. So still ensuring that those students are receiving that specially designed instruction, that they're receiving any supplementary aids such as accommodations or modifications, and that they're receiving those related services. So in that co-teaching service delivery, we need to make sure that they're receiving those special education services. So I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with this, but we have several indicators that we have to report to the federal education in terms of data for Virginia. So the indicator that has to do with least restrictive environment is indicator 5. So we have to report certain data to the federal government. So in terms of LRE, in indicator 5, it's really looking at the percent of children with IEPs in these particular situations. So in 5A, we're looking at what percent of our kids are inside the regular class 80% or more of the day. So that's indicator 5A. Indicator 5B is we're looking at what percent of our students are inside the regular class less than 40% of the day. So receiving their services in the regular class less than 40% of the day. And then looking at what percent of our students are in those separate schools, such as or residential facilities or homebound or hospital settings. So we're actually, the baseline for all of these indicators is going to be reset, or was, so it's kind of hard to explain, but our data is kind of like 2 years behind in terms of reporting, but it's going to be reset for the fall of 2020. So we would like to get some input from you in terms of what you think we should have as our goals. So we're going to look at indicator 5A first. So remember, this is what percent of our kids are in the regular classroom 80% or more of the day. So as you can see from this chart, it gives you data from the school year of 2016 all the way through 2019, and it indicated what the target was. So our target, for example, in 2016 was that greater than 69% of our kids would be taught in the general ed classroom more than 80% of the day. And then as you can see, the actual data is in that second row. So we haven't quite, so in the last 3 years, the target was that we wanted more than 70% of our kids being in the general classroom 80% or more of their day. So we want your input. So we're resetting these, and we would like your input in terms of what you think we should do for our targets. So Allison, which we forgot to introduce Allison, Kim. Allison is our CTERM chair, our JMU CTERM chair for the Academy, and she's going to be kind of our tech guru and in charge of all of our tech and making sure Zoom runs smoothly for everybody. So Allison is going to show a poll for this, and you're going to choose what you think the target should be. So Allison, do you think you can go ahead and show that to everybody? So it would be called, actually, that's not the correct one. Allison, that's not the correct poll. It should say indicator 5A. The title of the poll is indicator 5A. Oh, I see. Okay, you did change it. I apologize. Okay, so now it's correct. So you all are going to vote. Do you think it should increase annually by 0.5%? That should be 0.5%. Should it increase by 1%? Should it increase by 1.5% or more? Should it stay the same? Or if you have any other ideas, click other, but then type your idea in the chat box. So we will give you another minute or two, no, hopefully about another minute, so we can get most of your votes, what you think this this target should be. All right, we're almost there. Okay, I think we can go ahead and end that poll. All right, so I'm going to end polling. Thank you so much. Our next indicator is going to be on 5B. So I appreciate you putting in the chat box if you thought that there should be an other for target. The next one for 5B is, what percentage of our students are in the classroom less than 40% of the day. So we want that to be a small percent. We want a small percent of our kids to be in the classroom, in the general ed classroom, less than 40% of the day. So now we're going to put this poll up, and you're going to let us know what you think the sharp. So we want this target to decrease. We want a smaller percentage of our students being taught outside of the general ed classroom. So what do you feel this target should be? So this poll is up as well, and go ahead and click on what you think. And again, if you think that it should be an other, if you could just type your ideas in the chat. All right, just a couple of more seconds. All right, I think we can end that one. I think we have almost everybody. And then our last indicator is 5C, which is our percentage of students who are outplaced in a different setting besides the school. So obviously we want this to be a very low percentage as well. So you can see what our target has been for the last several years and what our data indicates. And what do you feel this target should be? So we're going to go ahead and show this poll for indicator 5C, and again, choose what you think the target should be. Okay, I think we have the majority for this one as well. So I'm going to end polling. All right, well, we very much appreciate your input. We will definitely look at the results from these polls in terms of what, as you're part of the stakeholders in terms of education for our kids. So obviously teachers are a big stakeholder, as well as parents and other educators who work with the students. there's one more thing we wanted to let you know before we have our first session start. We're just running a couple minutes behind, but hopefully it won't be too bad in terms of starting on time for the first session. But we do have one homework assignment for you. Our VDOE English specialist wasn't able to join us this week. However, she wanted to make sure that you all receive some updates in terms of English. So in the Academy folder, that bit.ly folder, which I'll share again in the chat in just a minute, there's a folder called